Welcome to the No Quit Living podcast, where we aim to inspire and motivate people to never give up on themselves or their dreams. We will chat with highly successful people from all walks of life and discuss what motivates and drives them to successfully attack life head on and never give up. Welcome to episode number 37 of the No Quit Living podcast. I'm your host, Christopher J. Worth, and today's theme of the day is fighting through. Our quote of the day comes to us from Lance Armstrong. We have two options medically and emotionally: give up or fight like hell. It is my pleasure to bring you today's podcast. Our guest has quite an impressive no-quit story. When it comes to fighting versus giving up, I don't think anyone will ever challenge our guest's determination or her will. Many people have at some point in their lives flirted with or experienced a near-death situation. Our guest not only encountered hers, but she kicked death's butt and kept on going. It is my complete honor to introduce today's guest, Cherie Aimee. Cherie, I'd like to welcome you to the No Quit Living podcast.
Thank you so much, Christopher. It's a pleasure to be here, and welcome everybody that's listening.
I appreciate it. The pleasure is all ours. So the first question I got to ask you is, are you ready to make it happen today?
I am ready. Let's do it.
Awesome. So you have quite an unbelievable no-quit story, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing that with our listeners.
Yeah, no problem. My story is pretty crazy when you hear it. But basically, I had a near-death experience. I pretty much died 7 years ago. So using the term near-death really doesn't cut it. I literally flatlined in my husband's arms in the middle of my local hospital. It was very unexpected. Didn't really have a lot of symptoms leading up to that, but I did have trouble breathing for a couple of weeks prior. That just went undiagnosed. And when I flatlined, it was just complete, utter pandemonium in the local emergency room. And doctors tried CPR on me for at least the first 10 minutes. No luck. We're ready to call my time of death. But one doctor in that emergency room changed everybody's mind and ordered every staff member to continue with CPR, chest compressions, life-saving efforts for over 90 minutes.
Wow.
Crazy, right? And during that time, my heart, it would restart and then it would stop again. So they could not get it to stay. And here they are, 90 minutes go by, still no luck. And what they did was, not knowing if I would be brain dead, they installed this temporary life support device that would just bypass my heart and deliver oxygen to the rest of my organs. Such an insane experience and an insane, last minute life-saving procedures for somebody that's had no heartbeat for over 90 minutes. But that's what they did, and still no luck. They put me into the OR, had no luck, and they realized there was nothing more that they could do. But the doctor that said, we are going to continue life-saving efforts on this lady happened to work or teach 1 day a week down at New York Presbyterian Columbia Hospital in New York City, which is about an hour drive from my house, or a little less. And he made a couple of calls, and before they knew it, their top cardiothoracic surgical team drove all the way up in an ambulance to come get me, and switched me to their life support device, shipped me back down to New York City, immediately underwent, I think about over 16 to 18 hours of open heart surgery, which is crazy in itself. It's a very long time to be undergoing open heart surgery. And I found myself in the ICU about a week later. This is when I woke up from my initial coma. And during that time that I had flatlined and was under, I had what medical researchers coin as a near-death experience, meaning that I had these typical markers of what they call, those of us that have actually crossed over, lack of better words, into the afterlife and come back. So, but anyway, so I came out of my coma about 7 weeks or 7 days later. And then I remember the first thing when I woke up, I said, oh my God, I died. But I was in such dire condition that they immediately put me back under my coma, induced coma this time for the next 3 months. I would be fighting for my life, attached to every form of life support. My family not knowing if I would survive, and literally having less than 1% chance of living. And by many miracles, including a new, or I should say a latest biomedical engineering device, I was able to be kept alive for 5 years, 5 more years from my own home, with a device that's pretty much a bionic heart. And it allowed me to stay alive long enough to get a heart transplant, which I received about 2.5 years ago. And when I came home from my heart transplant, I just said, I can't believe I'm still alive. This has been, at that point, it had been a 5-year journey since the day I died to save my life. And I committed to doing everything that I had done with my life previously completely different. I learned so much just from my death, and then the process of being kept alive, that I knew that this was my second chance at life and my second chance to do all the things that I didn't have the courage to do. And so I made a commitment to myself that I have never backed down from. And that was to no longer worry about what anybody else thought, what the rules were, what society tells you need to do with your life, that I was just going to live my life passionately, following my heart, which was so symbolic because here I was now with a donor heart. And that's what I've done. And by living that truth, I created under 2 years, I created a really powerful personal brand. And now I've been on, I've been featured in Forbes. I've been featured on Thrive Global. I've been on national TV. And now I'm actually an influencer for the hospital that saved my life, which is one of the top cardiothoracic hospitals in the world. So that's my story of, just really pushing through the unimaginable, Christopher, and never giving up, never quitting, and really utilizing the strength that I had on life support, which was a complete nightmare. And I had to dive into the depths of my soul to uncover a strength that I never, ever, ever knew I had until I was faced, fighting for my life. And to this day, that's what people feel from my brand. They feel somebody that doesn't give up. They feel somebody that is inspiring them, that despite whatever your circumstances are, you can keep going and you can create the life that you want to live, no matter what is happening around you. And that's really my mission here, being back here, and I love it. So, yeah, that's my story.
Wow, that's your story and you're sticking to it.
Yeah.
I've done some research and I need to just tell you that whatever is out there on your website and other places, not that it's not good, I don't want to take away from it, but there's nothing out there that can do justice to that story. And I think there's just so many amazing things that you touched on, but the biggest thing I think, and it's one of the big things that drives No Quit Living, not only for ourselves internally as a company, but also with our clients and our listeners and our fans, is just bringing these amazing stories. So I need to just first off say thank you for sharing that. Your candor and your honesty is just so humbling, and I can't imagine what you went through. But if that is not a no quit story, then we need to stop all of podcasts moving forward, because that's just an incredible story of no quit and 90 minutes of working on it. That's just incredible. I need to ask you, have you kept in touch with that doctor?
Yes, and thank you so much for everything you said. It means a lot to me, and it is my goal to really inspire people. So I just love the name of your podcast. I love your mission. But yes, so the great thing is that one of the things that was very hard for me was not being able to thank my donor. And I know that's not something that, everybody can relate to. But for me, that's something that was such a huge gift for me. And it's so weird, okay? And I've learned to accept it, but I want to really point this out, that it was so weird to accept the gift of life. Like, we're not just talking a little holiday present, but the gift of life. And to not be able to write a thank you card or to call with a phone and say thank you. Do you know what I mean? And that stumped me for the longest time. So what I found is I found ways to say thank you for my donor by how I live my life, by the things that I do, by the projects I get involved in, by the audiences I touch. And so when it comes to my doctors, which I have so many, but the core doctors that really were behind installing this latest technology, the bionic heart that kept me alive for 5 years, and then actually doing the heart transplant, I've been able to now become a brand influencer for them. And so the great part of that is that I am working very closely now with the surgeons and the doctors that have helped me. So it's not just me working solely with the PR department, but I'm engaged in projects. Like, I just did a massive keynote event in front of these top surgeons from around the world, including the ones that saved my life. Got a standing ovation. And Christopher, I cannot tell you what that felt like, to be able to stand in the front of a room, in front of the surgeons, the doctors, the nurse, the engineers that manufacture the bionic heart, the whole crew that kept me alive for 5 years. I was able to stand at the front of the room with a microphone and share from the bottom of my heart. No notes, because I don't need notes to thank them. And I ended up speaking for an hour, and there was not a dry eye in the room. I don't care if they were a surgeon or not. So yes, to answer your question, absolutely. I work very closely with them now. They love, love, love showing me off because I am, not only I've become their family, but I am a product of what they do, and they save lives. And what they did with me, from the bionic heart, saving my life, first of all, after 90 minutes of unsuccessful CPR, then the bionic heart, then the heart transplant. I am literally their art, their years worth of studies and testing and trial and error. And I want to do as much as I can to give back to my heart donor, the hospital, the staff, the patients. Christopher, I lost so many friends on this 5-year journey. Some did not make it on the bionic heart. Some did not make it through their heart transplant. I am extremely, extremely blessed. And while I still have my own issues, I still have chronic, pain from in my rib area. It's something that I just deal with now. It's been 7 years, but from the chest compressions and from having this bionic heart installed in me, I still have my own disabilities, but it's nothing compared to the fact that some of my friends didn't make it. And if I can not only inspire entrepreneurs and leaders and people that are going out there and making a difference, podcasters like you, that are making a huge difference in the world, I mean, I can also impact these families and these patients that are struggling the same way that I did. And for me to be able to give back on such a massive global level and to give back so much of myself, because my story can really reach so many walks of life. You know what I mean? And I get so excited every day. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm like totally rambling.
No, it's not rambling in any way, shape, or form. And the one thing I just need to say is, you might not be able to thank the donor, but one of the things we talk about in No Quit Living all the time is paying it forward. And you're clearly paying it forward. And you might never be able to thank that person directly or their family, but it's all about paying it forward. And I think you've done an amazing job with taking an unfortunate circumstance and having an impact. So I think kudos to you in the sense that you might not be able to thank or write that note, as you mentioned, but you're paying it forward and then some. So that's an amazing thing on your end.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I love it. And I think what's really fun for me is meeting so many different types of people and just seeing what kind of value I can bring to them, because not only do I, did all this happen, but, I've got years prior to my tragedy of, just being in tech startups in the digital realm. I was CEO of my own tech firm. So, I just remember thinking after this whole tragedy, and really right before I built my brand, I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? What am I going to do for money to take care of myself? How do I want to live in this world? And I really remember thinking, I really just want to build a brand and businesses that really showcase all the different parts of my heart and the wisdom that are contained in my soul. And, a lot of times people, they don't know where to start with their creative projects or their businesses or whatever it is that they want to conquer in life. And I think one of the best pieces of advice I can give is to really sit down and journal and get quiet and get to know yourself, because I think so many of us think we need to advance our skills and keep advancing and keep advancing and keep advancing. When we get quiet enough, we'll know what really drives our passion in life. We'll know who the people are that we want to serve. And, and obviously that's a combination of also going out and taking action and trying different things and seeing what you like. But that's really what I did. That's what I did in order to turn around such a tragedy, and make it into something triumphant.
You talk about something which is near and dear to the No Quit Living family, is identifying whatever it is, a goal, objective, your passion. But what you said after that is very key, and we stress this to our listeners all the time, is taking action. The best company idea or the best passion behind a project or a charity or a fundraiser is almost irrelevant if you don't put the action behind it. And I think you obviously spent a lot of time thinking and going through what you wanted to do. And the best part about it is at the end of the day, you put it into action and you're doing something about it. So question for you, what's the best way for our listeners to connect and follow you?
Well, if you want to interact with me every day, I'm extremely active on Twitter. So you can follow me there, which is at XO Cherie Aimee. That's CherieAimee. And then my website is just CherieAimee.com. So CherieAimee.com.
Is there anything exciting that you're working on? I know you just mentioned your keynote you did a short time ago that you loved, and obviously I can tell from your passion and the impact you've had. Is there anything exciting you're working on or launching or something you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, so right now I work one-on-one with business leaders, people that are really looking to be game changers, big influencers in their fields, people that want to use social media to really get noticed, build a powerful brand. That's really what I did. And that's how I moved so fast and created this brand and this business so fast to even be partnering with major organizations and corporations. So that's one thing that I still do that. I work with that. I also help people brand their story. So there's you out there that have a powerful brand story. I definitely help with that. And I also do a lot of writing. So one of my big passions right now is I write for Influensive. So I'm a contributor there. And you can find my articles at influensive.com. And I'm just really excited to be partnering with a lot of different people in the industry that I admire. I've worked hard to connect with really, really great people. And this fall, I'll be launching my own not only podcast, but also a whole brand around it, which is called Live Big, Be Happy. I already have social media presences for that, so you can find me anywhere at Live Big, Be Happy. And that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm pretty much getting my brand out there, helping other people do the same, and then growing really my legacy product, which is Live Big, Be Happy. So it's a lot of fun. It's all a lot of work, but I love it. And it keeps me, one thing I want to say is that if you're having a tough time or if your circumstances right now are not where you'd like them to be, give. Spend your time giving or producing. So a lot of, like I talked earlier about my pain and just some of the other things that are still going on, I don't really think about it as much. Like if I stop and say, oh yeah, that's right, I'm in pain. But the way I keep going, the way I don't quit is by keeping myself busy, active, and creative. So there's kind of like that action taking again. Taking action actually helps get you off of your problems as well. So a lot of times people get stuck and they're like, well, I can't do anything because of A, B, C, and D holding me back. But if you just start that momentum, just start by taking a little bit of action in one area, it will start to alleviate some of the stress of the other areas in your current circumstances. And before you know it, you will find that your life will drastically start to shift into a positive direction.
You beat me to it. I was about to ask if you had some parting words, and I got to just say is when you talk about giving and taking action, it resonates with the No Quit Living family, because that's what one of the things we talk about almost in every episode is. And again, I mentioned we've had some incredible guests that have shared some unbelievable stories, not only personally but also other people's stories as well. And I just need to again tell you that I think your story is incredible. But what's even more inspiring about your story is the fact that you give and you take action, and you talk about that with such passion, and I'm excited for what's to come with you and for you, and I definitely look forward to hopefully speaking with you again soon.
Yes, I would absolutely love that. Thank you again for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you everybody for listening, and I wish everybody so much abundance and success.
To sum up today's episode and our theme of the day, fighting through, that is exactly what Cherie did. In 2010, after being rushed to the hospital, she flatlined and in essence was dead for over 90 minutes. During that time, it was because of one doctor who insisted that they continue emergency CPR. Her heart was started and restarted many times until finally they brought her back to life. As impressive as that story is, Cherie continued to fight for the next 5 years as she lived with a bionic heart until about 2.5 years ago when she received her heart transplant. The one thing Cherie mentioned, which I found to be very interesting, was that she felt bad that she couldn't thank the person that provided her new heart. However, she was adamant about sharing her story, sharing the story of that amazing hospital that saved her life, as well as paying it forward. In her remarks, Cherie spoke about the importance of pushing through the unimaginable. And no matter what your circumstances are, you can control your life and the life you want by giving and taking action. So for today's call to action, we challenge our listeners to give and take action. Give to somebody with absolutely zero expectations, and give for all the right reasons. Take action. We all have something we should do, or someone we should go speak to. Do it. Take action and go for your greatness. And lastly, to our listeners, thank you. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope our episodes inspire you to keep on attacking life and never giving up. To quote Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, it's always too early to quit.